Carry the G Radio coming to you live on a Tuesday afternoon. Aaron Nagler here with Bill Schmid. We're trying to figure out how the internet works. How you doing, Billy?
I'm doing great, Nags, and it appears that the internet is not working at the moment. Is the internet working at the moment? You just laughed at something I said, so that would make me believe that the internet is working.
But I believe there was some type of intro being played that I was not able to hear. But you know what?
Wasn't that great anyway. Don't worry
This,
about it.
this is what happens. You just got to get the first kind of carry out of the way where you go, 1 yard, 2 yard, and then all of a sudden you bust one for 20 yards. That's what
we're going to lean on the internet and we're going to make sure that it figures itself out. But I'm glad that I ended up figuring that stuff out quickly. And not going to lie to you, tap myself on the back. That was operator error at the moment. And guess what? There will be quite a bit more of the operator error on this board because I, for one, am still getting used to once again getting to be back on this board. That's all the stuff that nobody really needs to know, but I actually like it. It's more fun because I feel much more in control. I feel like the true quarterback, even though the master on the headset over here, my head coach, is going to tell me exactly how to guide this thing and not screw it up.
You're going to be just fine. I have every confidence, much like the Packers had confidence in Malik Willis. You see how I segued there?
Damn right, baby.
Good. That's pretty good, I think. I'm just in shock at how effective the Packers game plan was against, a team in the Colts that has talent, and they're certainly promising and have a ton of upside. But I think you look at those two teams, especially with the Packers having to start a backup at quarterback, that's a different class of team in my mind. I think the Colts have a good future. They're obviously not there yet. The Packers showed their mettle in this game. As far as, obviously the players have to execute, but Matt LaFleur, the game plan, the approach, the ability to make sure that Malik Willis has all the confidence in the world to operate this offense at a high level. I couldn't be more impressed. And I understand it's one game. There's more to come. The Malik Willis revenge game's coming up on Sunday. But, man, it is still Tuesday. They hit the practice field again. They get ready for the Titans the start of the week tomorrow. So this is the final day you get to kind of marinate in the fact that the Packers were pretty freaking awesome on Sunday.
Yeah, and the way that it went down, I think, was even more enjoyable for many Packers fans. And you know what? It could not have been enjoyable sitting there and basking in all the heat for all the Indianapolis Colts fans that made the pilgrimage there. It was a robust crowd, man. It was full right away. And I thought one of my favorite parts of it was the Packers leaning in quickly to try to keep that energy flowing, right? And as you watch the way that they came out of the tunnel, that there was an intensity on the defensive side that Indianapolis is going to have to match because the Packers offense physically took it to them. The defense did it right away with that and forced a 3-and-out and then the turnover that immediately they were on their heels saying, I don't know when we're going to start getting the football back again. And when you start creating that doubt that early,
big time, right?
It's a dangerous thing for a quarterback making his 6th NFL start, which was Anthony Richardson on the other side.
And look, I think he was as advertised, right? Coming out of the game against the Texans where he had obviously a couple big plays, but certainly the inaccuracies that were on display in week 1 were certainly on display at Lambeau Field on Sunday. And hey, look, the Packers took advantage, right? You talk about capitalizing on your chances. How many times have we seen, opportunities kind of slip through the fingertips, so to speak, of a Packers defense? That didn't happen unless your name is Quay Walker. That didn't happen on Sunday. That they took advantage of those opportunities. And look, Xavier McKinney, are we ready to say after 2 weeks, worth every penny?
Yeah, seems like it.
Brian Gutekunst went out. He identified the safety position needed an overhaul. He was not afraid to spend big and go after a big target in free agency to kind of paper over the cracks of some, let's say, some not so great draft selections at that position. And man, if he has not been every bit as advertised, that I'm so happy that Xavier McKinney is on my favorite football team. He's a dog, down in and down out, and he certainly seems to have a really good grasp of not just getting guys in the right position and kind of big quarterback back there at the safety spot, but knowing kind of the flow of the game as far as what offenses are trying to do. He just never seems to be out of position, always seems to be ready to step up, make the play, and look, be in the right position. And Lord knows it's been a while since that's been a staple of a Packers defense.
Yeah, and being able to consistently know in the back end that you're taken care of is just a wild thing to be able to bank on, right? And
Right.
for the Packers secondary, there's so many things. We talk about all the assets that are invested into the defense, Nags, more specifically into the secondary, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
you look at what they've done in Goody's tenure of draft capital, a lot of it has been still into the secondary, absolutely onto the defensive side,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you've taken swings to try to figure that out. And we touched on it a little bit yesterday. I think it's going to be a topic of conversation all year long that the two biggest times that they've swung in free agency, the Smith brothers, Amos, Turner. I mean, you're talking about that year. Preston Smith had 12 sacks and an interception in year one with the Packers, 13 and a half sacks for Za'Darius. They started 3-0, 2 wins against teams in the division. And one, correct me if I'm wrong, had just won the division the year prior to. So being able to elevate the play was a big factor of it. This one, though, there's a clear elevation at what their defense is able to do with McKinney back there. And you saw it here on Sunday. There's a difference of what their running game can do when Josh Jacobs in the backfield. It's no slight to what Aaron Jones can do, but he is a difference maker.
It's a different back, right?
It's a different back. Just look at Baldy's breakdown of his jump cut away from Zaire Franklin, and that's a different back than many teams have in the NFL.
Well, and the fact that you can hand it to him as many times as they did and get the production that they did throughout an entire game where the defense understands the assignment as far as he's going to be getting the ball early and often.
And for somebody to saddle up Nags and say, let's go 32 times. I mean, 32. That's the second most in his career in game 2. Now, granted, I know he just got paid, so it's going to be a lot easier once you have some cash in your pocket and into your bank account to handle that load. But there needs to be a lot of credit towards Josh Jacobs on that side of saying more 20 first half carries, more. Let me see it in the second half and let's see what we can do.
And the thing is he didn't seem to ever tire. I understand, like, Indy certainly adjusted at halftime, right? And they started getting behind the sticks.
Everybody getting the box.
Packers. They put everybody in the box. They were run blitzing on first down. They were catching the Packers a bit. But it's not like he ever tired. It's not like he had to, go out for long spells, unlike some other people who've been in the offensive backfield in recent vintage. And I'm not saying that, like, one is better than the other, but I will say for what the Packers needed, sans starting quarterback on Sunday, that was just what the doctor ordered. A old school throwback bell cow back. We have not seen that in Green Bay, Wisconsin in a very long time.
Yeah, I think it was, I checked this on Packers OT. Ryan Grant was the last guy in 2008 to have 30 plus carries. Then it was Amon Green a couple of times with 30 plus. Like that just shows just how rare it is, because Amon Green was one of the best backs in football for all the years that he was here. He didn't do it a lot. Like that is that many times to hand the ball to one of your biggest difference makers. And it does go to, and I know that we'll give credit to the head coach and Steno for designing it, but I think the biggest reason why Matt is getting more of the respect and more of the credit here, Nags, obviously he's the head man, but he's the one that had to stick to it into the fourth quarter.
Yes.
After the third quarter was unsavory.
Less than productive. Yes.
Yeah.
Totally
and
agree.
To say, no, this is still going to be our best way of playing. I don't care that up 2 scores, the fans still booed us going into halftime. Like I'm fine that they're mad here. I'm going to continue to run through, and we're going to run it through someone's face. Absolutely.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a second, because I will admit to being frustrated at the approach there at the end of the half, because I'm a fan, right? I want the pedal to the metal. I want to go for it.
You were wearing the all gas, no bleep.
I want all gas, no break,
right?
But as Matt said after the game, when he was asked about it, and man, was he ready. He was so ready for that question. Yeah. He was so on point as far as, I know some people are going to call it, cowardly or whatever. I call it smart. And he's right.
And had the pause for dramatic effect after the smart, which was delivered perfectly by the head
absolute perfection in the delivery. But you could tell his blood was a bit up when he got asked about it. He was ready for it because he knew he was going to be asked about it. And I mean, I agree with him. That's the thing. Like, I can step back 30,000 feet and say, yeah, that's a smart move, right? Considering the circumstance, you're up, you've got a backup in there. You got to go the whole length of the field. You don't really trust that you've got probably the passing game that you would necessitate unless you bust off some huge run,
Yeah.
Why press your luck there?
And the other part of it is, Nags, like at some point, complementary football is going to win in the NFL. You'll hear it so many different times, and you already have 2 weeks in. More teams are stressing it and continuing to talk about it because it's a great buzzword for it. The other fact in the equation, and the other part of for them to not want to run the play and want to end the half with the football is your one slip up, one Alec Pierce getting behind everybody for 65 plus yards, which you watched all week.
Yep.
From being handing the ball back to the other team with them having the opportunity to take the lead in a game that you have thoroughly dominated. Like there's part of momentum that you really can't control it, but you can at least hold back and you can at least try to hold it as long as possible. And that was the biggest part of what I thought they did going into half.
I just think you've seen so many times, not just with the Packers, but in the NFL where things happen inside of the 2-minute kind of window, right, prior to halftime that can wildly swing a game. I always think back to, I think it was a Thursday nighter against the Eagles in Lambeau, Matt's first or second year in town, where they tried to take a shot late in the half. Big Dog, of all the people in the world, Big Dog misses a block, and Aaron Rodgers gets stripped. The Eagles take over, get points at the half, and that was the game. That was legit the difference in the game. So I think Matt, as he's kind of gone along here, he's got a bit of a different philosophy. Yes, he is all gas, no break when it warrants it. But I think it was smart. I think the approach was smart. I understand not wanting to, let the odds being what they were.
Yeah.
I think it's smart to go into half with the lead and keep doing what you're doing in the second half.
Yeah, and I totally understand the fans just like being disposed.
Oh, I'm one of them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you can go back and look on Watch Party. I'm sitting there going, "Come on!" Like, of course, in the moment. That's why he's paid the big bucks.
And you also booed the team off the field because of the offense.
Okay,
now that 3 games last year. And that was warranted because they only had like 3 first downs in those games.
Like, I get it. You paid your money. You've earned. You have the right to boo.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of it though. It's not my thing. I get why people do it. I'm not, saying they shouldn't do it. Again, you paid for the ticket. You have the right to boo.
I'm excited for the gold package fans to just be cheering up super loud against the Vikings. The 2-0 division leading Vikings.
You and your gold package love. I love it.
I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting that there was some unsavory
smattering of boos from the green crowd.
Quite a few patrons wearing blue in that crowd, but it was a home opener. It's a game that, listen, if you're going to make the pilgrimage, it's a short one for the folks in Indianapolis, and they only come once every 8 years. So maybe we do it to them on the other side when the Packers go back down to Lucas Oil, invade that place times 10.
I love it. I absolutely love it. How about Sigma in the chat here? Thanks to everybody for checking out Cheesehead TV and 97.3 The Game on the old YouTube channel. Rare for Amon to get 30 carries because of Favre playing QB. Well, there's that aspect, obviously, but there's also the fact that, remember in 2003, one of the greatest performances ever, when Favre was hurt, his thumb like busted up and everyone in the stadium knew they were going to run. Not only Amon, but Najee Davenport, Tony Fisher, all 3 of those dudes averaging 5 yards per carry on the season. Like, that was yeoman's work by that offensive line back in the day. That was a fun year.
Yeah, and that was the strength of the football team, right? Like, I mean, even though that you had Favre to try to, and this is where
and Kevin Barry, U71, Jumbo, let's go.
And the rare, the thought that the run game doesn't complement and help the quarterback, right? Like that is one facet of football that has seemingly that teams have wanted to take a step back. Well, look at the team that won the Super Bowl last year, as they're built off defense, still with the best quarterback and the best player in the league, with Mahomes, but they were leaning in on Pacheco in that run game, and it's going to change up for them now because he's going to be down. Like, it is a QB's best friend when you allow it to be, to run the football and allow your offensive line to dictate the line of scrimmage.
Look, it's interesting because the old kind of Jaworski thing on NFL Matchup on ESPN back in the day, he would always talk about, his mantra was points come out of the passing game, which is still true today, right? You score, you throw to score, you run to win. And I thought Sunday was a perfect example of that because the Packers weren't very dynamic through the air, didn't score a ton of points. Now, they missed a kick, they fumbled the ball, they were about to score a touchdown, so that obviously affected the final score. But man, if Jordan Love is playing in that game, they probably score 35, 40 points. Like that, it was ripe for the picking if you were able to be that effective on the ground with a dynamic passing game to go with it. And that's the other aspect of this, Billy. Now we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tennessee will have a whole game of tape now to look at and try and game plan for, et cetera. You got to think Matt's going to try and get one step ahead of that as well. But what's so exciting about what happened on Sunday is we've seen the Packers able to kind of adjust and implement this type of running game. If they can do some of this with Jordan Love under center, oh, baby, get ready. You talk about being able to really start defensive coordinators guessing, trying to figure out which one is going to kill you, whether it is the run or the pass. You can really start to make some hay if you're Jordan Love in the passing game. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, and it continues to what was their biggest strength last year, multiple years under LaFleur, play action pass game. And that just continues. You move the pocket for Jordan Love. That's dangerous stuff for a defense to have to deal with when you have speed with crossers of Christian Watson, Dontavian Wicks and company, and to go up and get a guy on your comebacks like Romeo Doubs. They have it fit pretty well for all of those. And that still that's where I don't know that you see everybody lining up within 15 yards of the football, right? Like I do think that they spread the formations out a little bit more.
Yes.
But that offense is going to look somewhat similar to what you saw on Sunday, the rest of the season.
Yeah, I would assume so. I want to give Thomas Wade a shout out for the super chat on YouTube. He says, "I want the old intro and I want it now. Beer, 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 beer." You know, Thomas, look, we can't always get what we want, but I promise next week we'll have the old intro back.
Yeah, I'll find a way, and I'll find it in these archives. I also like this one from Tom in Ireland. Not sure how many listeners this gets through to radio, but this show should have more listeners. Fast becoming one of my favorite shows of the week on YouTube. Well done, Billy and Aaron. Well, Tom from Ireland, we appreciate you, and you are now one of the I believe we've checked the notes up to 400,000 people that are listening to this fine program. So
4 or 5 people, but yes. And one of those people is my father, probably in Appleton. But other than that, we're growing. It's a growing concern. Hey, I know you mentioned the heat at Lambeau on Sunday. Can I just show off on YouTube here my new Green Bay Packers sweatshirt that I am wearing? I've got a new hoodie. It's that thing where, okay, I am done with summer. It's 80 degrees here in New York. I don't care. I'm wearing the new hoodie. I am willing autumn into existence starting today, Billy. I'm over.
Wow.
I'm done. Summer, you're on notice. It's over. This week is the last week that the sun will set at 7 p.m. in New York. After that, it is dark at 7 o'clock every night for the next 6 months. This is the best time of the year.
Shut-ins rejoice.
This is the best time of the year.
Hey, I'm excited to start wearing sweatshirts, but that for me ends up in more of December. But I'm glad you're doing it. Come on, you do it, brother.
Let's
you do
go.
it.
Absolutely.
I still have to have the shorts on until it's about 40 or 50.
Oh, I got shorts on. I just got the sweatshirt on. Yeah, I got to do it.
Hey, business on top. That's what's up. That's Aaron Nagler. I'm Billy Schmid. Our business continues on the other side on YouTube, on 97.3 The Game and the iHeartRadio app. It's Cheesehead TV and 97.3 The Game. Carry the G Radio with Billy and Nags on the game.
That's right. It's Carry the G Radio coming at you with Billy Schmid holding it down in the greater Milwaukee area. Aaron Nagler coming to you live from New York City. Billy, what do you think about the job that Jeff Hafley has done through 2 full NFL football games? Because I think it's easy to forget that the man was a head coach, never really been a coordinator at the NFL level, has had NFL experience.
Yeah.
But now he's had 2 legit NFL offensive attacks that he's had to keep, the clamps on, and say he did a bit better of a job in week 2 than in week 1. It was interesting to see some of the mix of personnel. I'm fascinated with what they're doing as far as the rotation at corner. You got Evan Williams into the mix this week.
That was nice. That was a welcome sight.
What are you thinking about halfway through two of these weeks here?
Well, I think he's somewhat as advertised, Nags. Like, at least from just the perception of what you would see a little bit more pressure. You'd see a lot of movement up front. You'd see the defensive tackles and defensive ends doing a lot of stunting around, and that ultimately ends with Devontae Wyatt's sack on Sunday. So I think you've seen quite a bit of that. That's talent that dude has. I'm excited to hopefully be able to see a little bit more of that and just power driving through that tackle. That's the nerdy stuff of it. But I think, like, again, rushing 5 on the Hail Mary attempt.
Let's go.
That's kind of that's as advertised. Did it get home? Did he get on the ground? No, but you can't tell me that throw wasn't somewhat influenced.
100%. Rather than being able to sit back there, buy all the time you need for your guys to get downfield. Yeah, no, I'm a billion% about that.
I think that part of it has been what you would have expected. I'm excited to see what he does against an offensive line that is allowing as much pressure as the Tennessee Titans are, and against a quarterback that they're not as concerned with running as they have been, rightfully so, with Hurts and Richardson respectively. So I think you're going to see a lot potentially different things over the next 2 weeks, because 2 very different offenses that you're going to be facing in what Brian Callahan wants to do, and what they should want to do is try to run the football, but they're going to let Will Levis all over himself apparently. And then Minnesota coming in here, and they're going to run something a little bit more similar to what you are, albeit with Sam Darnold back there, who's probably gettable 1 to 2 times.
Man, I'll tell you what, the numbers looking at this Tennessee Titans offense and the pressure that they've allowed through 2 games. If you're a pass rusher with the Green Bay Packers in any capacity, and I'm not just talking about the defensive line, though obviously those are the headliners, but man, if you're coming on a slot blitz, if you're Keyshawn Nixon, if you're Javon Bullard being asked to drop down into the slot and then get after the quarterback, if you're, even if you're like Jair Alexander and there's going to be a cat blitz called, if you are getting after the quarterback in any capacity in this game, you got to be licking your chops, because Tennessee has had a woeful time protecting the quarterback, and that quarterback has made some really dumb decisions when pressured. And to your point, these next couple of weeks are going to look very different, I suspect, up front than they have the first 2 weeks, because you don't have a Jalen Hurts or an Anthony Richardson ready to run all over you. And I get that it's a bit frustrating for fans to have spent all summer. What did we talk about? Oh, all the shooting of gaps. We're going to create havoc in the backfield. We're just going to stop the run on our way to the quarterback. These were all things that were said this summer, and I still think that probably maintains, itself through this regular season. However, these first 2 games have kind of put a clamp on it by design. I think from Hafley, like we're all well and good to get upfield, but we want to make sure we don't leave large patches of grass for these guys to pick up huge gains. And look, Richardson still got his, right? He still had a number of runs that were pretty effective. But I think the potential for damage in that regard was so much greater than what it ended up actually occurring. And that's a testament to not just the game plan, but the discipline up front from the front 4 in particular. They did not let Richardson kind of have his way as far as not just killing him with his legs on the ground, a mobile quarterback, etc., but getting outside the pocket and making things happen with his arm. They did a really good job of making him play from the pocket, and he's not ready for that.
You got to give a lot of credit to the players as well, because you mentioned it, like the plan and the scheme and the plan of attack can be one thing. Actually executing it and then giving up the potential of sacks like you are asking a lot of those guys to do in that role is not always easy to pass up if you're one of those defensive linemen saying, I I do kind of see this gap, and if I rush thoroughly up the field, I think I might be able to get home.
might be able to
However, if you don't, you know that you're going to get reamed out, and you know that you're going to leave everybody in the back end really susceptible to a big play. That takes a lot of discipline. So we talk about the discipline, and I understand a lot of people think discipline only means did that guy mess up? He's running gaspers.
Right.
No, it's just the simple thought of I need to star in this role right here. They're being asked to be a lot more pressure inducing up front, which makes it easier, I think, to do some of that. Last year, they were being asked to do a whole lot of thinking, which, not saying no one can, it just makes you inherently slower off the ball and slower in that rush right out of the gate.
Now, all of this said, we've just spent a good, couple minutes here talking about the discipline and the rush lanes and what they've done as far as being a group and unselfish and all that, right? And I'm down. I think they've executed a plan both weeks. But I'll tell you what, if they don't get after Will Levis this week, then I'm going to be sounding some, maybe not alarm bells, but I'm going to be asking, what the hell are we doing here? Because now this is a week they should eat up front. And I'm not saying like that means like they're going to get 3 or 4 sacks or anything like that, but I want to see the quarterback affected in this game. And he should be. I suspect he will be, but I got to see it.
Yeah, and Brian Callahan said yesterday that there are just some really dumb things that he's doing. And I saw some people saying, well, that's just great. You have a young quarterback, and you need to inspire some confidence in him. Well, You know what inspires confidence? Not handing the ball to the other team on a silver platter.
God. 2 weeks in a row.
Billy Jeans has done 2 weeks in a row. I do suspect that they're going to be a little bit more careful with the amount of times they allow him to put the ball in harm's way. But man, their team is based off of DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley on the outside, Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard in the backfield. Tajay Spears is a question mark already. So like there's reason to believe that if Tennessee wants to continue the domination over the Packers in Nashville, Packers down 1 against the Titans in Nashville. They are going to have to throw the ball because that's their way of scoring points in that offense, is trying to get those guys on the outside the football.
Why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to remind me? Like the whole idea, the thing about Tennessee and not winning down there, that reminds me of my first year on the beat.
We don't run from our nightmares here, Nags.
The first year on the beat, Billy, this is true. Remember they lost to the Colts at home, and then the next week they had to go to Tennessee. We're going to fix everything and blah blah blah, and then they come out and they get down big in the first half, and it's like, what is happening? Oh my God, it's like an absolute nightmare. I'll never ever forget coming out of the halftime. Packers have the ball. It's absolutely pin drop quiet in the press box. There's no cheering in the press box. You got to concentrate on the game. So we're all sitting there in the press box, and the whole Packer. We're on the road, so the whole Packers contingent, Mark Murphy, Ted Thompson, all the personnel people, they're all sitting behind us. And Aaron Rodgers throws for a first down. And they say, first down, whatever. They're going back to the huddle. And it's pin drop quiet. And they have been garbage on offense this whole game. They've been garbage. But they finally pick up a first down. And you just hear echoing throughout the press box, Ted Thompson going, well, there you go. First down.
Come on.
Like lone voice in the depression of the wilderness of the kind of depths of despair in Green Bay. We're like, what is going on? Why can't we score? Why do we suck suddenly? Like blah, blah, blah. Just Ted going, well, there we go.
Come on, got first
down.
That's what we build on.
That's my eternal memory of the Packers in Tennessee. So I need that wiped from my memory banks this weekend. I need a Malik Willis revenge game where he throws for at least one, runs for another. Josh Jacobs and company get, a couple hundred on the ground, and then they get after Will Levis and cause some havoc. That's what I need.
I like that. Not asking for anything. Let's just run for like 200, maybe throw for 2 or 3 touchdowns and make it an easy dub against a team that, albeit though, has had leads in the second half against teams that are pretty decent so far.
Like I'm not saying it's not easy. Nothing in the NFL is easy. It's a team
running against these guys is going to be difficult. Running against these dudes is going to be difficult. When you talk about Sweat that they picked up from Texas in the draft,
who I loved in the draft, and I knew would never go to Green Bay because of his RAS score. But man, I love this kid. I love his game, and the fact that he's going to be lined up over Josh Myers.
Yeah, alongside Jeff Simmons, who's one of the meaner SOBs.
You talk about a dog. Oh
yeah.
my God.
So this is not going to be Indianapolis where
No.
they came in giving up 200 plus on the ground. And then you did the exact same thing on the ground against them. This is going to be, you're going to earn it on the ground if they're going to be able to win this game that exact way. Malik is going to be tested a little bit more. I also think the quarterback run game will be stressed a little bit more in this one. Knowing, and Nags, this is the strange feeling going into this week. And I don't know if you're on the same wavelength and how many different Packer fans are. Coming into the unknown of how long you'd have Jordan on the sideline.
Right.
Can you win one game? Can you win one game? Now that you got that in the bag, it doesn't feel like the house money effect that many people would maybe have believed it was. It's
right.
Well, dude, now we're just good. Now we're just better than everybody. So we're just going to steamroll through some of these teams.
Right.
I think that is one part of the regression towards the mean as to how good it felt last week.
Mm-hmm.
Plan for some consternation and some difficulties.
Yes.
Sunday at noon. It will not be as swimmingly of a first half, I would assume, as it was against Indy.
But that's the thing. Think about during the game against the Colts. There certainly was, a bunch of consternation throughout, whether it was the way they couldn't get things going coming out of halftime, whether it was missing a field goal, whether it is fumbling going into the end zone, whether it was, really Indianapolis not handing the ball more to their all-world running back is kind of mystifying to me.
That was awesome.
He was ripping off huge gains, and they just stopped giving the ball to him. I didn't understand that really, but there was lots of pressure points if you're a fan watching that game. And now we can sit back and go, oh, what a great game plan. They executed, big win, etc. But yeah, of course, there are going to be moments where, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, we're totally overwhelmed. Things are slipping away. Just need someone to make a play. When that happens, just need someone to make a play. And so far, the Packers have kind of risen to that occasion both weeks. Even though they lost that first game, they've had moments. I need to start, having these guys hang on to these important game-clinching interceptions, though. That's 2 weeks in a row where could have sealed the deal on defense. Whether it's Keyshawn Nixon dropping a would-be pick six, or Quay Walker dropping what should have ended the game. Man, guys, I need you to be closers. I need you to get your coffee. Coffee is for closers only.
Oh, I like that one. Okay.
Well, it's a David Mamet. That's a David Mamet thing. It's from Glenn Ross, a play that came out probably before you were born. But there's a movie made from it. Alec Baldwin, Al Pacino, excellent.
You say Alec Baldwin on the radio right now? Is he like? Are we touching that?
It's fine.
Okay, all right, good.
I'm down with Alec Baldwin.
Not
come on, man.
It's all good.
I'm down with Alec Baldwin. Fine. Screw the haters, man. Alec,
screw the haters.
Fly your freak flag high, man. I don't care.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, are we still in on John and Daryl? Are they still hating each other, or Hall and Oates?
They are hating each other, but we all still love them.
Good.
You know what I mean?
Because I'm never changing that effect.
I'm never stopping listening to their music. I don't care where the money goes. On Spotify, I think you get like half a cent for every stream anyway, so it's not like I'm lining anybody's pockets here.
Yeah, I'm not helping them all that much.
Even if someone is bamboozling somebody, stealing some money, I don't know what's going on between them, but man, their sweet, sweet tunes will never end in my life. I'll tell you that.
Beautiful. That's what it is. Because it shouldn't. Because this needs to be a facet and be played every single week when we carry the G radio. And it might have to actually bump into the podcast variety as well. We might have to bring at least some Hall and Oates into the off season.
I think this is a excellent plan that I feel that we will have to implement at the highest levels. Yes.
Those happen and are planned for the Packers attack of Tennessee. That continues. And maybe how Cheesehead should plan to attack Nashville. Because, Nags, this is going to be the game. This is going to be the traveled to road game for Packers fans. This is the destination of 2024. And I think there's a lot of folks that are hitting Broadway coming up this weekend.
Are you on the traveling team this week?
No.
Hell, man.
No.
When are we gonna get red hot on this?
I need to be as far away from Nashville as possible. Yeah, 100%. Bad things have happened in that.
I understand the consternation if it was like Vegas. KLG Radio rolling on the end of the first hour. There's another hour coming up, though, and my goodness, Billy, did you watch that game last night? Did you see those dirty birds taking on, I guess we call them the other dirty birds in Philadelphia, and Kirk Cousins coming in hot at the end after what you gotta say was a pretty milquetoast game. But man, Kirk Cousins in a big spot on a Monday night.
Crazy.
We are through the looking glass here, people.
Yeah, if you're ready for this, your boy fell asleep during the 2-minute warning, and then woke up at about 3:30 in the morning to do what most people do at 3:30 in the morning. And then I found out that Kirk Cousins, who I had been texting with a couple of my friends throughout the night, I thought looked like the slowest player in football.
Unbelievable, right?
He looked horrible in those first two quarters. He had led a game-winning drive and had ended up being able to stick it to one person that I thoroughly enjoy having it shoved up his in the NFL. That's Nick Sirianni. I despise that guy.
People feel a certain kind of way just when they see Sirianni's face.
Yeah, he's just so nauseating.
It's fascinating.
And after I had lost a potential anytime touchdown investment on Saquon Barkley on the instant review down to the 1 yard line, I was kind of done. And I had thought that thing was absolutely on wraps or on ice until, they could not clamp down that 3rd and 3. That's fantastic for Kirk Cousins. From going to Nags, I was wondering when people would start ringing for Penix he got to celebrate big time on the way home. That's a remarkable turnaround for him, as it was like, this might be a $100 million mirage. So people didn't think we wanted a quarterback. We get the one we want. Nobody has any idea. All it did was cost us $100 million. Like, whatever.
What's that to Arthur Blank?
It's $100 million.
Sofa change to Arthur Blank. Come on now.
Instead, he's going to play. He's going to continue to play if he's leading game-winning drives like that.
The thing that just absolutely tore me apart last night. Like, Kirk Cousins, whatever, and the Eagles lose. That's fine. I'm happy about that. But man, I am so over the state of officiating in the NFL. The fact that these guys are actively looking hard. You can see it after plays for all this ancillary stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the game of football. This gentleman took his helmet off. That's a penalty. Shut up. Just shut up. This gentleman had a celebration that was somewhat offensive. I don't care. Like, the fact that these are rules that the NFL has them worrying about to the point where they're actively seeking them out. Like, I understand, like, look, there's a game to adjudicate and you've got to be omnipresent as an official. You're supposed to see everything. They've got a number of them stationed all over the field so they can, like, make sure the game is played on a fair level. Like, that's the game. Like, some dude, like, the NFL has lawyered up their rule book to such an extent where all this stuff that has nothing to do with the game is occupying the headspace of the officials. And then we wonder why they screw up so many of the rules and the interpretations of them, because they're worried about all this other stuff that has nothing to do with it. So, like, later on this year, we'll have a game. Like last night, it was hilarious. The Eagles went for a 2-point conversion. They, upon review, got it. The official comes out there and goes, on official review, it's a touchdown.
That was awesome. Yes.
Sir, that was a 2-point try, sir.
Conversion. Hey, Craig.
They are just swimming. They're swimming. Yeah. They're just overwhelmed. I wish the NFL would strip away all of the nonsense.
Well,
like, your helmet comes off, so what? You make a little 2-finger
gesture
thing. I don't care. Like, it doesn't affect the game in any way, shape, or form.
No, and I think the one part of the game and one part of the league that they have not quite fully mastered is, Nags, it also doesn't affect who's watching, right? Like,
at all.
Because Drake London did a suggestive celebration at the end of the game does not. At least, you know what? Maybe I'm
not watching the NFL ever again.
Yeah, I don't think people are.
I've heard that many times over the course of the last 10 years. And guess what? Viewership's only gone up.
Yeah, they're all still back. They're all still there. And for good reason, because it's the most entertaining sport in the world. Like, I do 100%. Think there is. And I like your vantage point on it, because I did see your quick video yesterday. And I'm glad you brought it back up, because I otherwise was going to later. I like the fact that it's not these refs stink. right?
No,
it's not that
they're
hey,
all
let's make it
very
easier.
talented and they want to do a good job.
They want to do well.
Tasked with absolute impossible tasks.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Make it easier on them. Make it easier on them. That's where my solution has always been. I think the full-time officiating thing, you can't tell me doing something for an entire year
start there. How do
does
you
not
not
make you
start
better.
there?
Yeah, I don't see how that doesn't make you better. I also do agree with you that the amount that you're asking them to police grown men could be calmed down. And if we're going to go player safety wise, how on earth are you not calling the play dead when somebody's puking on the field mid play? I mean, if we're going to be taking precaution here, that should have stopped. That should have halted play. Packers should have gotten a redo on down on third down, move to the other hash, and then let's play.
Let's be honest though. That was pretty dope. That was awesome. Come
on. It's gonna cost me about $150 at the Packers Pro Shop for a Josh Myers 71 jersey. I'll tell you that
was. I mean, a puke and rally on a third down
with epic proportions.
That's amazing. Shout out Josh Myers. Shout out Josh Myers.
I'm not. I believe it was still the best puke and rally of the home opener. Now, granted,
there were several.
I bet there were a ton of good puke and rallies during the home opener. Right? Listen,
when was the one that was most dissected on tape, but there were others. Trust
me.
When
we pulled up at 10:15 in the morning, Nags.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was straight rocking. Awesome. And as I walked from our parking spot into the stadium, you got to walk through a couple of grass fields and a couple of parking lots.
Oh yeah.
Showed some real restraint and some true maturity to not say, you know what, I do have a coffee that I want to finish before I go in here. I might as well just take one quick lap and see what's happening and see what happens.
See what's going on. Maybe someone's got 2 tree carry the G's.
I could have sat there and drank 33 carry the G's and barely been able to remember my name at the end of the time because it was a banner day to be out partying in.
I got to start making the home opener like a traditional Aaron comes to Green Bay thing. Because this is now, I want to say 5 or 6 years in a row where every year I'm like, should I? No, I'm going to be there later this year. I'll be there for Thanksgiving week. 2 games, San Francisco, Miami. That's enough.
Okay.
That's a good trip, right? But then every freaking year, social media starts exploding that morning, and I start looking at all the tailgates and people at Lambeau, and I'm like, why am I not there?
And they're like, why is Nags not here?
I'll never forget.
Our leader should be here.
The first year we did Watch Party in the studio, I was, obviously here in New York. Corey was in Green Bay, and I had Packer Man, which was our number 85 doll that when the Packers false started or had a penalty, you can tear it apart in frustration, and then you put it back together, whatever. But I had the doll sitting next to me in the studio, and I'm like, all my friends are in Green Bay partying and having a good time. I'm literally in an empty studio with a doll.
Ripping a doll apart.
Something's got to change here.
People are watching me do it on the internet. Like internet. There's categories for that.
Something's got to change, Billy. I don't know.
I like it. Let's make that an annual tradition that you are there for the home opener. This is also beautiful news that you're going to be here for San Francisco.
Oh yeah,
Miami.
2 games in a week.
Yeah,
how can you miss that?
And a great meal. So it sounds like Nags. If you need some turkey, we got a place for you to go and have some turkey.
I'm all in.
That's what I'm talking about.
Although I will say, exciting times. My girlfriend's coming up she's going to be in New Orleans with her family initially that week, and then coming up for the first Thanksgiving, first Packers game, first Wisconsin visit. Exciting times.
Exciting times. And great schedule. Great schedule by you to be doing that,
Absolutely
not
perfect.
a month later when her Saints come to town.
No, well, we talked about it, but her mom would be very upset if she was gone during Christmas.
Oh, better idea. Yeah.
We were very excited about the possibility, but December 23rd, a little too close to Christmas. So.
Too close for comfort.
She'll be there for Thanksgiving. It'll be good. And we also don't want to break up, so the idea of both of us being there.
You got to like each other now.
Saints game. I mean, it's a miracle we survived last year. I can't imagine this year. Look at the Saints, by the way.
Crazy.
How about those Saints?
They went marching into Jerry World and beat the brakes off Dallas.
Kubiak. I mean, I know he's a Nepo baby, but he is calling some amazing stuff. down there for Derek Carr. My
Yeah,
God.
it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. We'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the league and a little bit more about this Billie Jean's trip down to Nashville, because we do have more cheesers that are telling us they're heading down to Nashville. And some people
There
were
we
asking,
go.
what on earth even happened to you in Music City? Nobody wants to know. Like, bad thing. No one wants to know that story. And I don't think we can tell it on terrestrial radio. He's Aaron Nagler. I'm Billy Schmid. It's Carry the G Radio statewide for 1 more hour and worldwide on YouTube and the iHeartRadio app.
Here the G Radio rolls on hour 2. Aaron Nagler coming to you live from New York City. Bill Schmid holding it down in the iHeart Metroplex in the greater Milwaukee area. Billy, so tell me about this trip to Nashville. What happened?
I don't know that we can get into it. I just don't think. I think it's probably better we don't get into it. Good conversation with beers on the table, though. Great.
There you
conversation
go. A beers on the table conversation. I like that.
No doubt about it. No doubt
What's
about
funny
it. A bunch
is
of
I never have beers on the table conversations except for people from your radio station, like Zabe, Drew Olson,
sure,
yourself. Like those are the conversations I have, but elsewhere, it is not so much. So I guess I like the. I
like that we just try to make the appointment listening of, I got some really good stuff.
I got some real juicy stuff.
We better go and get a couple.
Go get a few and talk about it. I like it. I'm down with it. The other thing I'm down with is getting to see another week of Malik Willis. I mean, look, I understand caught lightning in a bottle, played a really good game against the Colts. No doubt the game plan was masterful from Matt LaFleur. The whole NFL world going, can you do it again? Can you do that again with a team that now has tape, that now has a bit of maybe a better understanding of what you're about and able to do and the things you want to lean into? Well, how do you counter that? Well, how do you play off of that? I'm fascinated to see what Matt LaFleur cooks up here. I got to suspect we see a bit more. And I know he tried to play this off and tried to essentially somewhat not really subterfuge or anything like that, but he didn't want to acquiesce to the idea of, we're going to have to at least let him throw the ball just a little bit more. Like, he didn't want to hear anything about that. Like, no, they're probably not going to run it 32, 42 times or anything like that again. But, is this a way of operating for the next 2 or 3 weeks, which is what they're probably going to have to do? I don't think that's very realistic in the NFL, but I didn't think they were going to be able to do it against the Colts, and they did it.
Yeah, so, and that's one of the big parts of it, and how dedicated they are to it. On the YouTube, Jake said him and his girlfriend are heading down to the game, and at the end he goes, "Boo's gonna be flowing, and Malik Will is gonna be running wild as we carry the G." I think for him to run wild, Nags, a little bit more of it's going to have to be designed, right? Like you saw a couple of draws, you saw a couple of designs to get him out on the edge. I think they're going to have to play off that a little bit more. And I think they're going to have to stress Tennessee in to make the decision. Hey, do you want to get Josh Jacobs all day long? Just right up the A gap, or will you end up choosing to try and take Jacobs out of the equation and allow for a little bit of option read and give you some looks to not only just make it straight read option off the defensive end, but with the amount of orbit motion that they were running and amount of cross motion, there'll be a lot more triple option looks than just simply one give and go. Like, I'm very interested because Nags, I thought his ball fakes were fantastic.
Excellent. Yes.
So
absolutely.
that's a part of playing towards your player's strengths. He did a lot of that at Liberty. He did a decent amount of it at Auburn. So give him some things that he's comfortable with, but we are going to have to stretch the ball a little bit more down the field.
You would think, right?
And maybe there's just 1 to 2 deep shots that you start seeing.
I will say, like, even when you look at the designed runs or things where there's an option for him to keep it and run, little things for your defensive coordinators as far as these next couple of weeks where, like, they were very effective out of empty, but they rarely pushed the ball downfield. Like, they were screen game, bring the back into the backfield at the last minute. But there was also the fake out to the right, flat pump fake, get the backer and the safety biting towards that, and then all of a sudden he's out the back door with his legs. Right, those are the kind of plays that, okay, now they're on tape. You have to think as a defensive coordinator, they're going to be a bit more, okay, look, when they go to this look, be ready for XYZ. And that's what I'm interested to see where Matt builds off of it. Because you got to think all week, Tennessee is going to be keying on those types of tells where, okay, if then that, okay, well, if you're Matt LaFleur, how do you stay one step ahead of that?
Sure.
Like, that's where I'm fascinated to see how he kind of builds on what they did last week.
Well, and how much of that too speaks to what this week is. And I know that he was asked about it last week and answered it correctly, in my opinion, Nags. Of, do you look forward to this opportunity to play without your starting quarterback?
Right.
No. I'd prefer to play with my best
I
players.
like my best players to be on the football field.
That's generally what I prefer. Is my good players to be on the team.
Most football coaches
field, yeah.
would answer similarly.
But for somebody that likes to create and design plays and also swipe ideas and then build off of him his own adjustments.
He had like
to it.
2 or 3 plays in that game were straight up theft. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and highway robbery is applauded at this spot as long as it's not Chiefs alcoholic, or Chiefsaholic. Like we're fans of you being able to swipe good things from other teams, implement it to this team, and that kind of misdirection. Kuhn and I were talking about it last week towards the end of the week, and I thought some of it could be more of a distraction, more difficult for the young quarterback and the new quarterback, more importantly, to handle. But it really did, and allows you to simplify and get at least a little sneak peek against the defense and give you yes or no answers, right? Hey, if this happens, then this. Give you instant solutions to the problem.
That's the key.
Which I think Matt is the part that he really, really will enjoy.
And I think that's what separates good staffs from, staffs that struggle. And I think you're seeing that.
The ones that get fired?
Well, end up getting fired, no doubt. We're kind of seeing that already kind of play out in Chicago with Caleb Williams. I mean, the way the Texans went after him, and they had no answers for their young quarterback. And I know it's Packers fans piling on. I understand it. Like that's in the contract. If the Bears have a quarterback, we're going to make fun of him. That's our job, right? Yeah. But I did feel for the man. I did feel for him the other night because it's clear the Texans smelled blood in the water, and they just started coming. And Chicago had no answers, and that's a game they're in. That's the other thing. It's not like they were down
for no reason
as a 6-point investor. They're in that game because they have an outstanding defense, but that's the difference, right? And I understand, look, is his second NFL game. He is going to grow. He's going to get better. He's going to develop. I do not doubt that for a moment. But man, Matt LaFleur had a guy in the building for 3 weeks and had solutions for him for no matter what came up, didn't try and ask him to do too much, and went out and won a football game. That shouldn't be brushed aside. I've already seen people be like, I'm tired of hearing how great Matt LaFleur was. Matt LaFleur was great, and he should get his flowers for this game. What happens next week? Who knows? Sure. Like I said, we get one more day to marinate it till we turn the page officially to we're getting ready for the Titans this week. But, man, you just look around the league, the state of quarterback play, how, we have definitely fallen off offensively across the board in the NFL when it comes to generating points. Defenses have adjusted. Offenses are still kind of trying to find their way against a lot of this, too high shell stuff, although I think obviously it goes way deeper than that. But scoring's down, man. People are not putting up the Star Wars numbers that they used to, and so you can get any kind of offensive ingenuity, a quarterback who hasn't started in years. You get out there, you win a big game, go on to the next. Yeah, that gets applauded in my
opinion. And I think Matt is getting plenty of it, and he deserves it. I do think Goody also deserves a good amount because I wasn't thinking about Malik Willis, right? Like when that came through the wire.
Nope.
That was
Everyone was
not
talking
on
about
my
Ryan
radar.
Tannehill. No one was talking about Malik Willis.
I wasn't thinking Malik Willis was one. I guess I didn't think of him getting traded. I thought maybe he would get cut. And then maybe that's cut. Yeah. But it's we like enough here to make sure that we want to jump in line, get a couple an extra day to get him in the building.
We'll send you a 7th round pick for him.
Yep. And see what happens. Now that 7th round pick that's what they spent on Brock Purdy, and that could be thrown away on the other side. Very okay with.
I love it. Most Packers fans would say, "Well, it could be Donald Driver," but you went right to Brock Purdy. I like it.
But, yeah, I mean, why not? So you can find different avenues for. Okay, that guy could have played, or you cut a couple of 7th round picks this year. Right. Yes, and Grant Dubose, you felt really, really good about him getting a chance to go play somewhere. Guess what? That was a 7th round pick. You cut him. Didn't feel you weren't okay and felt fine with it.
Everything's okay. Yep.
To just say, I'm going to be decisive in this. This is where we're going. Matt, make it work. Because I saw enough from the pocket that he's going to be able to do a little bit of the passing stuff that we need. And we already know the cat's athletic and he can run.
I'm glad you brought up Gutekunst too, because look at the roster makeup and look at the way they are rotating guys at so many different positions. Matt was asked about that yesterday, and I loved his answer, and I'm paraphrasing, but the idea is that even if you aren't getting a lot of snaps at the moment. I mean, how much kind of hope, confidence does that give you to want to ball out in practice so you do possibly get opportunities? Because they've shown time and time again through the last 2 years, we will play you.
Yeah.
If we think you can help and there's a opportunity to get you on the field, even in a limited capacity. I mean, Carrington Valentine balled out in this game, and he barely played week 1.
And the only thing that I got online, and I imagine it was the same for you, is, well, what happened to Stokes? He get hurt? He get hurt? No. We're gonna let somebody else get in there and see what he does and try to maximize the snaps on the field and maximizing the reps of this is also how you develop players.
That was it. That was the other point that Matt made.
There's otherwise no opportunity for you to develop players.
You can't develop.
When else would you be able to develop Jordan Morgan, who missed the majority of the preseason and is your first round pick?
Yep.
Unless you rotate him in the football game. Like, you're only going to give so many reps in practice. There's only so many that you are allowed to have, so many minutes that you're able to be on the field. And there's so few times that you're even in pads during the week. So this is how you have to develop your young players. And that's the synchronized act that the coaching staff and the personnel staff has to be in lockstep with of, we know this guy's going to be a player for us at some particular point in time. Get him on to see if we can expedite that process.
Well, and I think that's a great point because I do think it's coincided with the complete makeover of the roster, right? Like, they weren't doing a ton of this when it was still a lot of vets, right? Like, now you've become the youngest team in the NFL going on 2 years in a row. You want to develop those players. We saw it last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I suspect we'll see more and more of it on the defensive side this season. But that's the idea. They have to be on the field. To your point, you get 14 padded practices in the season, Bill.
Yeah.
It's 14 enough. Total. And so, yeah, when are you going to get the opportunity to play football? During games. That is it. Because even in practice, when you got the pads on, you're not going to the ground. You're not tackling.
No.
You have to play to develop. And the Packers are doing exactly that. They are getting young guys. Look at the safety spot. Evan Williams finally got on the field. Yes,
right away.
It was 1 week, but it was nice to see Evan Williams get some run. You know, we've had Edrin Cooper out there for a couple plays. You know, like, get these guys on the field. That is how they're going to improve, and do it now so that by November, December, hopefully you're coalescing and you're hitting the ground. You know, you're playing your best ball, heading into what should be, you know, at least a run at the playoffs, hopefully deep into the playoffs. That's the whole point.
And I'm schmaltzy football guy. I like the certain cliches always hit with me, right? The post game from Matt to everybody stressing that we need to stay together. Guys, the only way we're going to do this is by sticking together. And it's the only reason, Nags, not the only reason. Quarterback going 18 touchdowns to 1 interception, and the offensive line playing better than it did the rest of the year, and Romeo Doubs in the playoffs being Romeo Doubs playoff version. Yeah. That also helped. But it's one of the biggest reasons why they got to where they were last year was because of how much they were stressing it for each other and playing for each other. That's a dangerous thing in football.
Unselfish ball.
And for that to be, like you mentioned, at least somewhat of a realization in the locker room of, I might not be playing as much as I want now. At one point, they're going to need me, and I can be Eric Wilson and save a drive.
Oh, what a ball.
Potentially save that spot.
8 snaps.
8 plays.
8 snaps, and he absolutely made 2 or 3 significant plays in that game.
Yeah, and he joined us on Packers OT, and that might have been the best part of his day, was hanging out with Drew and I post game. And it was Nags. It was the question that I asked of, like, as a vet who's 29, right? You've been around the league. You've obviously played.
Been in the league.
But that's not an old guy. Like, it's an older guy in the NFL. Right. But how can you stress that? He goes, just by example, man. Like, as much as I try to maximize my opportunities and play when I get the chance and get on out there, the biggest thing is that we got a lot of talented dudes on this team. And if everybody keeps with that same mindset and that same attitude, there's a lot of places that they could go.
Well, and it's funny too, because it continues through the guys who are playing, but maybe not seeing the ball, getting the type of production that they're used to. I mean, go back and watch Christian Watson in this game. There's a play in particular, actually, where he comes screaming open over the middle. Willis has been flushed out to his right, and there's an opportunity for Willis to probably make a throw, but he's being smart with the ball. He doesn't want to put it in jeopardy. He just runs towards the end zone. And Watson immediately, once he recognizes that Willis isn't going to throw and he's going to run, he looks for work. He turns around, finds a defensive back, and basically drives him through the end zone. That's Watson. I don't think had a target, maybe one target the whole day. Didn't catch a ball, but he helped each and every time they tried to run the ball. He was balling out down the field, absolutely being physical, staying engaged. I mean, how many different NFL cities can you look at where guys start, getting one or two looks and all of a sudden they're disconnected and they're not part of the game plan, and
absolutely.
they're disinterested even in the idea of blocking. And man, it feels very different in Green Bay in that regard.
And I also think through the amount of times that you see guys go targetless or catchless in that spot, I will be investing on Christian Watson first touchdown in Nashville, because if you believe that after, and I'm with you on watching it through the end zone cam, he was working on the outside. Hey, no block, no rock. He did enough of the blocking to earn at least 1 to 2 deep shots. And that can be how you scheme it up to see. Let's see how far and fast Christian can run and just how far Malik can throw the football.
Well, and that's funny you bring that up, because look, I talked to Jordy Nelson this offseason. We were talking about his famous shot play with Rodgers, right? And I said, it's weird that once Jordy left, they never really found that again with anybody. And Jordy was like, well, it's pretty simple. I essentially was out there every play, and I was always blocking, always, each and every play. So you make it look like a run, and the safety or the defensive back in general is, here we go again. He's coming to block me. And then all of a sudden you slip out of that and you're going deep, right? And that corner, that famous corner post that they hit so many times. You could set that up with Watson. Every time he's out there, he's balling out. He's taking guys to the woodshed on the sideline, etc. You set that up about a quarter and a half, and then all of a sudden that defensive back is like, oh, here we go again. I don't want to deal with this. And then you're out. You're gone. And you hit him. I could see that. I could very, very, very easily see that type of thing happen.
I think they're going to try to take, and this is where you have to scheme up and be judicious with your scheme, with your shot plays, right?
Yes.
You have to try and take some. You have to force yourself to take some, because it's only going to open up the ground game. And you hit one, baby, you're going to be cooking with gas.
Let's go. How got me all excited. I want to fire up Madden now. Let's do it.
Well, listen, you got a couple more minutes there, man, and then I'll run you in Madden. But 414,
run me. Okay, there, buddy.
414 texter. Hey, boys. Like I texted you yesterday, going to the game with my son as a Titan season ticket holder. Just wanted to give everyone a heads up that Tootsie's on Broadway is having their big birthday bash with a big stage and lots of big name artists, and of course ice cold Miller Lights. So that's apparently supposed to be on Saturday. That sounds like a dangerous winter for the folks in Nashville. Tootsie's a fantastic spot.
I don't know, Billy. I love me some Tootsies, but it feels like free promotion. I don't know, man. It's like you got to pay to play around here. This is Carry the G Radio, sir. Is there a Packers angle here?
Well, listen, I think the biggest Packers angle is no Titan fans can get up to it, because they're going to be like, that's the tourist spot. We're not going there. Right. So that's why it's mostly going to be a second Packers pep rally is the way that I was analyzing.
That's a great way to look at it. The Packers pep rallies are so fun. If you do get a chance, if you're on the road, make sure you hit those up. They are such fun. We were at the one in Vegas
last year. It was a country mile off of the strip. I had never been that far away from a casino and never had that much fun away from a casino.
You were
in
like
Las Vegas.
De Niro in Casino out in the middle of the desert.
And I'm like, dude, there's no slot machines over here. There's no tables. What are we doing? But it was an awesome time. And I met some remarkable Packers fans from Germany, no less.
Oh, come on. There you go. Packers fans worldwide. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. We're talking to every single one of them here today, Nags, on Carry the G.
Hell yeah.
Because we can carry it worldwide on the iHeartRadio app.
Yes, sir.
Worldwide on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
As well as statewide on 97.3 The Game. And the iHeartRadio app as well. It just goes all across the state, whether it's WNFL, 1070 The Game in Madison, the Twin Ports. We're stretching into Minnesota and talking smack to some Viking fans here as well as we carry the G.
I'm talking about. And we're talking about Carry the G, by the way. You're talking about all the spots in Wisconsin. You can hear us. If you hear our voices, you can get Carry the G Cream Ale, Cheesehead TV's official beer, back on the shelves all across the great state of Wisconsin. And by the way, now available in the greater Chicago area. So if you are a Packers fan behind enemy lines or you're headed to Chicago, you can get it at Will's Northwoods and a couple other spots. Make sure you go to cheeseheadtv.com. The beer tab will take you to our interactive map. Just enter the zip code of where you're going to be, and it will show you where you can get Carry the G Cream Ale, the official beer of Cheesehead TV.
Go get some and have some ready for next week, because I think Nags might be cracking one open on the next in the next segment here.
It is not here yet, but it is on the way surreptitiously in a vehicle that will be arriving in the New York area in the next few days. I'm hoping.
I love that.
I'm hoping that I'll have it
to be worried
for the game on Sunday. This is my hope. This is my dream. This is what Corey Banke has told me. So we'll see.
And Corey Banke has never lied to anybody. So that's
ever once in his life.
Not
Never.
one time. Nope, not one time.
Not,
and we're not lying. We're back on the other side with more Nags and Billy on Carry the G Radio after this.
All right, Bill Schmid on the decks there at Carry the G Radio with some Hootie in the house.
This feels like a song that you're going to hear if you're driving down to Nashville. Like that just sounds like something somebody's going to be singing in one of those bars. Really, and you can also sing
windows down.
Yeah, and you can also sing the whole song with basically just vowels like they did in Ted. E-E-I-O-U.
I was gonna say, how do you come to this song? Because I was out. I gotta think before you were born. Like, is this like because it was in Ted that you know about it? Like, how do you even know that
a portion of it is from Ted because as you can well imagine, I've seen that movie quite a few times.
It feels like a Bill Schmid.
It's total Bill Schmid movie. Yes. Yeah, that Step Brothers, Superbad, all of those dumb early 2000s stoner movies. And then like you can also get into that would be a drive home cartoons song like back in the day of the good radio bit when I'd be driving around with pops after school.
I like it.
It's your 4:00 cartoons driving through an afternoon right here with Hootie and the Blowfish coming up next. I only want to be with you, Milwaukee.
Amazing.
Something good like that.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding. I love it.
Thank you.
I love the idea of you listening with your pops in the car. That's great.
Riding around in that old Camaro, hanging out and just living life.
Of course it was a Camaro. Of course it was.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder you're an offensive line coach. My God.
Come on now.
Naturally. Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, you know what? Speaking of excellence, because that is excellent, let's talk about Daniel Whalen. Let's talk about this Packers punter. We've talked offense.
We've good special teams. All bad special teams is what people want to talk about.
We've talked about pass rush. Can we give the punter a little love? Legit weapon in this game. Legit. And the fact that he has not had a single punt returned so far this year, I think he's tied with one or two other punters in that regard. I mean, all of his kicks inside the 20, a couple of them inside the 10. Just giving these guys extra long fields to have to traverse to go and try and put points on the board. For whatever you're talking about with the defense, a big part of it is about the fact that they got a lot to work with as far as, okay, we can give up a few, and we know we can still button it up and get off the field at some point.
He's hitting absolute bombs. Like, I mean, I think that's the biggest part. Like, the one that he pins inside the 10 or
the direction, the first one was insane. That's a massive, awesome punt.
That is on Madden when you're going through the like that is on all pro or all Madden difficulty.
All Madden.
To be able to get it that far and inside the 3 rings on precision coffin corner punt. That's big time. I also like the fact that Nags, he seems to be the constant in the kicking conversation, right? Like we've maybe worried about a couple of snaps. He's gotten just about everything down, right? I can't fully remember a bad hold. And for that to be a good part of the operation, at least it allows you, if you're Rich Bisaccia and Brian Gutekunst, to feel like you can judge just the kicker in that operation because everything else seems pretty consistent.
Things look consistent. Man, yeah. I didn't want to talk about Narv Dog, the Narvinator.
Hey, listen.
You know,
80% bees get degrees.
I know. I go back and forth on this. I'm with you in that kind of, I guess, feeling of okay, it was 3 or 4 like on kicks, like
4 or 5,
like he missed one.
Add the extra point in there,
But then you turn on these other NFL games and you see dudes hitting from 62 on the regular, and you're like, my dude can't hit a 45-yarder, really?
Well, but there was a crosswind, and
it was on the left hash. Hey. Why is the left hash our kryptonite?
The left hash is an issue. The left hash is an issue. If you're ever lining up the game winner, please don't have it be there.
The left hash is killing. The left hash has started giving me heart palpitations. Like, I want failed third downs to go towards the right side of the field, please.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Because every time we're kicking from the left hash, my heart is in my throat.
I think he's gonna rebound. Now, Kuhn and I were talking about it earlier today. He's like, I think you give him the year. I think you're doing mostly like you did with Carlson. I thought maybe there's a tighter leash, but not much, right? Like, I don't know what exactly they feel like the full runway, the full sample size is here, Nags. Like, absolutely, we'll be able to dissect it week by week. But I wonder if that's really how they're analyzing it. Like if they are looking at it on a week in, a week out, hold on, we got to go get this guy in for a workout, this guy in for a workout, this guy in for a workout.
We could dip into the practice squad with our international player who is still on the practice squad. As a roster exemption.
I mean, I don't know that they're hailstorming it up here, but
I don't think so. But
maybe that's the next play.
Maybe that's the next play. He's still around, right? He's still there.
Yeah, he's still on the squad. Yeah. We still got him around here.
It's just, but it is funny because you do wonder, like, how long will they allow this to kind of happen week by week if he's missing a kick a week, etc. But then that's coming off of Brian Gutekunst when he had his press conference after the cut down to 53, talking about I need to be more patient with specialists after he just cut the specialists he drafted the year prior.
Well, and I mean, I thought he was very patient with Amari Rodgers. Consider he was
some might say too patient,
and he was a specialist because remember Aaron said he's returning punts for us now.
Oh man, I don't want to be rehashing these days because look, I got stuff to say and I don't want to say it because we've moved on, Billy. We've turned the page. There's no need. Like, this is a radio program that reaches a lot of people.
Yes,
and they don't need to hear me.
300,000 to 400,000 people. Yeah.
They don't need to hear me belly aching about stuff that happened a long time ago. My girlfriend talks about this all the time. She's like, you have like these long-standing grudges or hatreds or problems with people that you never let go of, and they just bubble below the surface until you just yell at the television out of nowhere, and I have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Because we were watching the Bears game the other night, and I'm like, hate watching the Bears, right? And she's like, why are you so mad at this game? It's not the Packers. And I'm like, yeah, but it's the Bears.
It's basically a Packers game. It's
essentially
about as important. Yeah.
It's like watching your little brother. You want
and let's be honest, it's really fun to watch Caleb Williams in as much terror as he is back there. So I'm a big fan of it, and I also really like being able to listen to and watch Bill Belichick just fry Ryan Poles.
Fry him. Oh my God! But here's the thing: it's like I don't wish ill will on Caleb Williams. I do wish ill will on every freaking Bears fan who yet again have the ability to polish their off-season championship trophies after spending the entire summer telling us, they've got all these wide receivers. They got the best landing spot for a number one pick ever. And then he looks like he doesn't belong on a JV football team, let alone an NFL football team, because they can't block anybody. And they have no answers for their quarterback because they're running like some Pop Warner offense. I love it. I love it.
Go off. That was just
love it.
I think maybe they'll turn the corner and throw for 150 yards this week.
I mean, maybe he gets to the level of a Malik Willis this week. That's something for him to shoot for.
You got the same amount of passing touchdowns, right? It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive stuff. I did like adding to the fire. I hit the classic, Tom Pelissero tweet of first touchdown in the NFL through the air for Malik Willis. Had to jump on that train. I mean, if that was not the Braylon Allen 17 when he was at Wisconsin, that was exactly it's his first touchdown in the NFL through the air. Yeah, we're hammering that one. Hammering that one.
I like Pack Owner MT on the YouTube chat here. Can we just bring in a separate kicker that is a left hash specialist? I mean, we're specializing everything else.
Not a bad idea, yeah. Well, and somebody on the talking text line, Josh in the Falls, 414-799-1973 said, did Myers throw up on the left hash? Maybe the K-ball had some puke on it too, and that was the issue.
Here we go. The conspiracy begins. I like it.
See, we're problem solving here.
Even if I go back and watch the tape and that's not the case, I'm still saying that's the case.
Yeah,
that's how you start these kind of urban legends. So
don't let facts get in the way of a good
story. Dog, you're off the hook. There was puke on the K-ball.
Yeah, not your fault, brother.
Not your fault.
Don't worry about it.
You're gonna nail it next time.
3 for 3 coming up here in Nashville.
But on 3 for 3. Go to the right side, please, Matt.
Yeah, let's
call play to the right side.
Jaden Reed, sweep right.
Sweep to the right, just to be safe. No plays up the left side, please.
Right out the sideline. Take it right out. Don't even worry about picking it up.
Don't even worry about getting the first down. Just
sticks.
Right side. That's all we want.
See, and that's the problem that we just solved in hour 2. And we got one more segment to solve.
That's what we do. We problem solve, Billy.
Listen, that's why Matt LaFleur is one of the 400,000 people that are listening to this radio show. because he knows that
I
he's
like how
something
it's
for the
bumping
plan.
up a little bit every time. Like
incrementally.
200,000, 300,000 last week. Now the 300 to 400 earlier in the program. Now we're up to 400,000. It's like we're having a telethon. Show.
It's pretty impressive stuff how quickly people are tapping in saying, I love this program. This
Literally,
is amazing.
I have zero doubt my dad was probably listening at the start and probably turned it off like an hour ago. Like, I'm not listening to that fool. Like, you know. Look, let me tell you something. Every habit I have when it comes to watching the Packers, I got from my dad. Like,
so he's just nodding along with, I did that.
Essentially, because I go home and he says everything that I spend all week talking about. Like, and he doesn't watch Packers Daily. He doesn't consume the content. But I come home like for holidays or whatever, or for training camp, and he just says all the stuff that I'm thinking and saying anyway.
You guys are basically doing Packers Daily there for a few hours.
We are the same dude. I'm telling you.
Oh, that is awesome. See, and who wouldn't want to hang out with that dude?
I mean, that's where I got a lot of ball game left from. My dad, I'm telling you, my dad is as diehard as far as being a Packers fan.
For that shirt?
He should, right?
He should get royalties.
I said I just take it out of the estate. You know, it's all good.
That'll work out. That's good. That's long-term planning.
We'll let the lawyers handle that. We'll be all good.
Long-term planning for your weekend and our investments and our plans and predictions for Packers and Titans on the other side. We'll wrap this thing up next. It's Carry the G Radio with Aaron Nagler and Billy Schmid on the game.
Care the G Radio, heading into the final segment of the afternoon. Aaron Nagler here in New York City. Bill Schmid holding it down at the iHeart Metroplex. Billy, what are we thinking here? I think when you look at the totality of the work from Malik Willis and company on offense, and then you try to look at how you might attack this, I'll say, stingy Titans defense.
Good way of putting it.
They are no joke. They are not a pushover. I think I'm going to see a lot of horizontal throws from Malik Willis. I think we're going to try and get guys in space on the perimeter. I don't know how effective that's going to be, but I suspect that's going to be an idea from Matt and company to try and keep things somewhat elastic and open in the middle to try and then work off of that, like the fake to the out and then turn around and hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs.
Oh, yeah, a little Statue of Liberty would also be the way that
I'm down with that. I don't know about all that, but hey, he's pulling out all the stops, it appears, on the ground. So
yeah, going to pull off. And I thought you phrased it correctly earlier where you said, like, how do they build upon it, right? How do they build off of the things that they had already implemented and then be able to add just a couple of wrinkles off it? Because that's what you have to do in this league. And it's one thing that Matt, it's one of the reasons why he was a very, very fast elevator to a head coach, and one of the reasons why he's been able to kind of reinvent this team a couple of different times, and this one more in the image of the 49er style of playing football, right? The wide zone concept. And it also just helps when you have a dude like Josh Jacobs. Like I also think it's one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Let's see as much of Josh Jacobs as possible again. And I'll let the cards fall, the chips fall where they may, because if you give the ball to him 25 plus times, I think you're going to find some success. Will it look as wide open as it did, though, a week ago? No, it won't be. This team is going to be able to flow a lot better, and you're just not going to get the kind of push that the Packers did, I think, right up front, like they did a week ago against Jeff Simmons and Sweat from Texas.
Although I will say, obviously on the road, noise, operating maybe on a silent count. However, the Packers fans do travel well.
Yeah, I'm not
they're going to be that. They're going to be a ton of old Packers fans at this game.
Yeah, this will be a frustrating moment for Tennesseans when they see how many Packers fans get there. But I don't think it's that uncommon. I think I think Nissan Stadium is similar to, maybe not in the same vein as bad as Allegiant Stadium or like where a Chargers game at SoFi.
Traditionally shows up and shows out, and it's not unexpected, right? But I think that bodes well and helps the Packers, because God knows, operating with a quarterback making his second start for your team, not being able to maybe utilize everything in your tool belt at the line of scrimmage, if it is loud and it's hard to communicate, well, that shouldn't be a problem. So that, to me, that's a plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The idea that Malik should be able to operate however he needs to at the line of scrimmage with Josh Myers making the calls, things of that nature, that should be at least open to them, because of the fact that it's going to be a ton of Packers fans there.
Yeah, and I think the Malik Willis revenge game is something that cannot be understated.
No, sir.
I think he is gonna want and have a lot of things going in his direction. And the other part of it is, I think the other 52 cats on that squad, 46 on game day, Nags, are going to be up for it because of what that means. Not only what it means in their season.
Did you see that post game video where he got the game ball?
Amazing.
And he's like, I don't got a speech, but I thank you guys, each and every one of you, for the support and the confidence you gave me. Man, they are in on Malik Willis. And it's no one saying like, oh, in place of Jordan Love. They know what they're doing. They're professionals. Yeah. But, man, they have rallied behind Malik Willis, and it is freaking great to see.
I also think one piece, and you asked about Jeff Hafley, and we talked a lot about it, and every single week we're going to do this evaluation of it.
Right.
Watch the deep shots this weekend, because if Billy Jeans does have himself a couple of moments to unleash a deep ball, kid's got a cannon. Like
he does.
He can fire it down to Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. That this is going to be a week that Jair Alexander, Carrington Valentine, Eric Stokes, whoever's on that other side, there's going to be some deep shots. So
yes, sir.
Watch for as much pressure as the Packers maybe do bring. They're going to have to hold up on the back end.
You know what I'm feeling, Billy? You know what I'm feeling?
24-14.
The first Packers victory in Tennessee ever.
Let's go. Now we're talking.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And that goes against our preseason predictions that were guaranteed to be wrong, where I think you and I predicted that they would split this situation.
We did have a split. I had them losing the home opener, but winning down in Tennessee. You had the opposite.
I had the opposite. So let's hope that we're both wrong, that it is a 2-0 run, and everybody is making that 8, 9, 10-hour drive home from Nashville very, very happily and hungover on Monday.
Time. It's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. People will be listening to you on Packers OT. We'll be chopping it up here on the YouTube channel for Cheesehead TV with my gut reactions. I cannot wait. I am so excited. I'm potentially going to be drinking Carry the G during the game this week.
Yes.
Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. Nags, let's go. Crush a couple of them, and I can't wait to watch gut reactions.
There you go. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time, Billy. That's what I'm all about.
And
Cheesehead
the best
TV.
time, and the best time is Cheesehead TV, 97.3 The Game and Carry the G. Next week again, Tuesday at noon. Same time, same channel for this same radio program. I'll see you next week, Nags.
Talk to you next week, brother. Go Pack, go.
Packers and Titans in Nashville this weekend. We'll talk about it again coming up next week. It's been Carry the G statewide on The Game and on Cheesehead TV, 97.3 The Game YouTube stream. See ya.